Let me start off by saying I hated Euphoria Season 3.
We invested in our kids' college funds.
What does that have to do with me?
You're not a man. Men provide.
Sir, just get your things.
Told Cassie to put on her best outfit.
There's a lot of money being left on the table in my business.
What?
I'm okay.
Now, because I'm so passionate, I felt like I had to share my opinion of the show, so I really hope you enjoyed this video. So, Euphoria Season 3 came out on the 12th of April, and let's just call it what it was. Pure and simple, it was just disgusting. To watch and to even know it was out there, it gives me shivers. I felt like I wasn't even watching Euphoria Season 3, and I was watching just a rendition of what Euphoria would be if it was mixed with The Idol, and it was not good. This season has none of the amazing allure or the aesthetic from seasons 1 and 2, where for some reason, even after stealing it all from Petra Collins, he decides to bin it. And part of me just thought to myself, why would he make such a drastic change? And the whole aesthetic being gone ruined this season for me. Season 1 and 2, we had the amazing neon colors with the bright lights, the amazing makeup, and like extravagant outfits. And this season, we basically just have a really dulled down color palette, and we're set in the middle of the desert. And don't get me wrong, part of me understands why he chose to change the color scheme to what it is now, to make the show feel more adult and less like we're in high school. But even season 1 and season 2, despite all like the high school setting, these were basically adults just in high school. The way he represented them and sexualized them, these were not children. And for him to just change season 3, the show feels nothing like the Euphoria I know and love. Now, going into season 3, I already knew I wasn't going to love this season just from the 5-year time jump that Sam Levinson decided to do. Because I feel we left season 2 with all the characters experiencing so much like trauma, where I wanted to see how they went from children dealing with this to getting over it and moving on with their lives and then becoming the adults we know in season 3 right now. And I feel for him to miss such like pivotal moments where their characters are actually being developed, it was really upsetting, where I felt like an entire chunk of Euphoria was missing. And that to me just made it so plain as day that this whole season, Sam Levinson, he didn't really care about developing any of the characters, and all he wanted to do was see how far he could push the characters now that they're adults in a more adult setting. And he definitely does that this season to the point of where it feels illegal to be watching. Especially when it comes to characters like Jules, Rue, and Cassie, because I feel like their storylines are so messed up this season, and I was so scared most of the time. And looking back over my notes, I kind of feel like this whole season, Sam Levinson, he was really just tired, and he was so done with the whole Euphoria universe where he just wanted to wrap it up quickly and just move on. And this whole season just felt like one big piece of rage bait content to me. And it was just depending so heavily on the use of like shock factor. Like this whole season focuses on the whole idea of like heavy violence, heavy drug use, looking at the SW industry, and just so many fetishes are explored, where I feel like every time something new happened in the show, he was just going for like a viral moment. And there was no real story or plot for me. It was just every single episode he wanted to try and make a big controversy or do something so crazy that it would be talked about online and like it would get the public talking. And not in the way like season 1 and 2 did, with like amazing outfits and really interesting storylines. That's the thing that's very different, that sets season 1 and 2 and season 3 apart, because season 3 doesn't really have plot to me. I feel this season, like Sam Levinson, he really pushed all the boundaries on shock factor. Like some of them that really stood out to me was when Nate was being beaten up in his own home, and like he's being thrown around like a rag doll against this disgusting yellow carpet, can I add. I mean, who decided to put Cassie and Nate in this house when this house does not resemble either of their tastes? But whatever. And like when we see like his toe being cut off with surgical precision, basically with gardening shears, that was really, really horrific to see. We see Cassie doing her OnlyFans content, which is disgusting. Basically all kinds of Bonnie Blue wrong. Like that's the level of disgust I felt. We have Jules dating an older man called Ellis, who's a plastic surgeon, and that whole storyline just freaked me the hell out. Like I was so scared when she's being wrapped head to toe in flipping plastic to the point where she can't breathe. I was so scared. It was so gross for me. And this whole season, I just kind of felt bored. Plain and simple, I just felt bored. I felt like there was no real storyline. And although I was entertained, like the scene where Nate's being beaten up, I'm not gonna lie, I really did enjoy watching it. Not the first time I watched it, but then I watched it on YouTube where someone had uploaded it with the Disney like laugh track in the back, and it made it so funny to me. I felt like a little snippet of Dexter to me, just in the sense like I felt like this was season one Nate getting what was coming to him, and I kind of appreciated that. Not to the point where I feel like he had to have his toe removed, but it was nice kind of seeing that kind of violence. I don't know why. But yeah, this season just felt boring because of the lack of character development. Like, I wanted to see these characters go from being children to being like good adults. Not good in the sense like everything had to be perfect, just good in the sense like they have their identity and they're stable on their feet. But I guess I was hoping for too much from Euphoria season 3. And just every single episode looked more violent and vulgar to me. And not in the sense like, oh, I'm a prude and I didn't want to see it on screen. It's just I felt like this was crossing so many lines because HBO have done other shows like Sex and the City, and the nudity in that is very much necessary to the story. But in this, I feel like if you've watched episode 5, the entire beginning of Cassie just doing her OnlyFans content, I feel if you were to take that all out, Cassie's story would have been the same. I feel like that was just an excuse to see how far Sam Levinson could have pushed it, because we already knew what kind of content she was doing from season 1. And for that section to be in it, I just felt so gross watching it. Because yeah, I just felt like Sam Levinson, he took the nudity and the violence and just the heavy drug use this season, he took it to a new level, and I did not like that level. And I feel this season, Sam Levinson, he was just so hell-bent on like degrading Cassie's character to the point of absolutely nothing. We see it in her wedding dress, like it's barely fitting over her boobs at this point. And when we walk down the aisle, we're focusing on her body the whole time. When we see her dressed up as a dog, when we see her dressed up as a baby with her legs in the air, that was disgusting. Everything she does at the drill house, like I could not finish that episode. I had to watch it on 2 speed. And yeah, just everything she did in episode 5 at the very beginning. And I feel like there should be a silent warning with Euphoria. Like, if you're going to watch it, wear headphones. Because God forbid, if you live in a house with children or people who just come into your room, you cannot close that laptop quick enough. So yeah, it's just clear that this season, Sam, he just did not care about character development, and all he really wanted to do was sexualize them in ways that's never been seen on TV before, and it just felt so illegal, and I don't know how else to describe it other than that. And this whole season was very much focused on exploring new fetishes and just the whole SW work industry. And despite all that, he did such a bad job at like representing it in a positive and realistic way, where it's presented as being like really lucrative, where everyone's making so much money, and overall it's just so fun and easy, and Cassie does it just to pay for flowers. And Cassie is not the only character who's actually involved in the SW industry, because we see every character in Euphoria season 3 in one way or another is linked to the whole like SW work, or just sex, violent, or crime, or drugs. And it's all these bad things that he's depending on shock value for. And by the end of the whole show, they're all punished for doing it. And it's just crazy to me that that's the way the story went. Like in the beginning, we see Maddie, she's working as an assistant at a managing company to Miss Penslar, and she's doing fine, she's doing good. She's not making as much money as she's presenting it online, but she's doing fine. And she's really good at the job because she's really good at working with people and making those kinds of connections. And then when the pandemic hits, we see her full on turn into an online pimp, taking Caitlin, a girl who just wanted to be like a TikTok creator and post some sexy photos, but then with Maddie's help and advice and connections, like Maddie taking her to the drill house, which is just a disgusting name, by the way, the drill house. With all that help and advisement, Maddie actually turns Caitlin into an OF star, and she's making a lot of money. And we see when Maddie leaves her, she's still making a lot of money, where she's making £700,000 a month, which is just crazy. And later we actually see that Maddie does the same thing with Cassie, making Cassie into an online star as well. Jules, while studying at art school, is actually being a sugar baby, going on dates with all these wealthy men that she basically just found off the street. Because how is she meeting all these men? Like, they're all millionaires in their own way. They've all got money. And they present it as it being very lucrative again, where she's living in a penthouse, she has money to burn basically. And it goes back to the whole idea that the message is like working in the sex industry as a sugar baby basically is way better than working in retail.
Anything's better than retail.
And I know firsthand working in retail really does suck, but to say working as a sugar baby is a better alternative is just crazy. And Relapse Rue, she's working at the Silver Slipper, which is a strip club owned by Alamo, which is always nude and always lewd. Yeah, that's written on the outside of the building. And all day long, she's surrounded by strippers, drugs, a communal drug drawer, by the way, and just overall violence and crime. And by the end of it, she's actually sucked into all this crime where she becomes an illegal drug runner. But that's not the only title she's had this season, because she's also been a drug mule, a drug dealer, a weapons dealer, an accessory to murder, and at the end, she's just a spy, working for the FBI, watching Lori, a drug dealer, and Alamo now. And this whole season just seemed so fast with Rue's character. Like, I feel like Sam Levinson was trying to cram so much into her storyline where I just felt like I was lost. Cassie, from the very beginning, is doing OF to pay for flower arrangements for her wedding. £50,000 for flowers. And don't get me wrong, we know Cassie loves flowers. Season 1, Season 2, we know she loves flowers. And if you want to pay £50,000 for flowers, even though I find it crazy and ridiculous, go ahead. If you work hard, get it because it's your special day. But I feel like the way they're presenting it, like she was willing to do OF to pay for something as trivial as flowers. Because to me, that's insane. And to a lot of other people as well. Her content only seems to skyrocket more into the crazy zones. Because in the beginning, we have her dressed up as a dog, as a baseball player, and as a baby with a binky in her mouth, and she's considering wearing a diaper and all that. Okay, crazy. But then, as she meets Maddie and Maddie starts to help her, we see her making what she describes as more timeless content. And Cassie, she starts doing all the craziest things imaginable with her going to the drill house, making her kind of content. And eventually, she starts like selling her underwear and farting in a jar for $800. And the show comments on how some of Cassie's viewers actually enjoy seeing Cassie humiliated, like farting in the jar for £800. And then it goes back to the whole idea that Sam Levinson himself also wants to humiliate Cassie, in my opinion, because he has her doing all these crazy things with literally no character development. She's still in the same mindset as Cassie from high school, where she's still craving that validation from other people, basic strangers. And it's so upsetting to see, for me, just how many of the characters have not changed since high school. A lot of real OF creators have actually called out the show and called it unrealistic and jokey and just making an overall mockery of what the industry is and the kind of rules and guidelines that they follow. And I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg because the whole season, OF workers and just the whole SW workers, like people who work in the Silver Slipper, we're not exploring like the kind of consequences it has on them, like physically and both mentally. Because the kind of content they're doing and the kind of industry they're working in, it has a backlash on them. And I feel like it would have been really interesting if he explored that a little more than just humiliating all his female characters. When we see Cassie dressed up as a baby, it's so clear to see that Sam had no intention of making a realistic image of what the SW industry is basically like, because crazy content creators like Bonnie Blush, even she never made like age play content because she knows it's against the rules. Despite her doing arguably like a lot worse, even she didn't overstep that line and dress up as a baby, and yet Cassie does it. And Kayla Jade is just one of the OF creators that actually called out the show for being very unrealistic. So let's just watch what she has to say about it.
I will never understand the love-hate relationship that people have towards SWs on shows like Euphoria. Like, it's great having them represented in TV when they're shown as a real person who just happens to be a worker, like in Pretty Woman. But when you're showing them have zero boundaries and will do anything for a bit of money, it just like reinforces those negative views towards SW.
Sam being the kind of writer he is, where we've seen how he thinks of women in his stories, like he's not there to promote like the SW industry in any way, and he's also not there to present it in any kind of realistic way. And essentially he's just happy to like profit off the stigma attached to the industry, because right now it's a very big thing that's in social media and everyone's talking about it, where he's happy to make profit and make traction to his show by using such a widely talked about concept right now, doing OF and being in the whole industry. There is just such a huge difference between the kind of writer that Sam Levinson is and the kind of writer that J.F. Newton is. He's the guy who wrote Pretty Woman. And when he wrote Pretty Woman, he made the story so realistic where he actually went out to Sunset Boulevard and spoke to all the prostitutes who were there and actually got real stories to make his piece really authentic. And Sam Levinson, he obviously did not do the same thing. He just wanted a quick money making like trope to throw in the whole TV series. A lot of OF creators have to be so careful when they try and stand out on the platform. It's very easy for them to get flagged or banned, and yet the way that Sam Levinson presented, like, it's okay to dress up as a baby and it's okay to do all these crazy things as long as like it's funny for the viewer or it's just entertaining. Like, that just shows once again he's so done with the whole Euphoria season and the whole universe itself. But the only reason he's doing it is so he can make Euphoria the lackluster show it is, with the very minimal character development and the very minimal storyline, just go viral. And what's really interesting, like in this season, he's definitely defended against all the heavy violence in this season, and he's also defended the actress Sydney Sweeney. And it's really just funny how he's chose to be so vocal about those two things, calling them like vital to the storyline. And yet when it came to all the critiques about the way he's presented the SW industry or how he's just presented women other than Cassie, he's just been radio silent. Maitland Ward is another OF creator that actually came out against the show about the representation of SW workers. And I never actually knew she was an OF creator because I actually knew her from White Chicks, just like a lot of people. But yeah, it turns out she does OF.
There's all sorts of stuff that you can't do, and it's the same in regular adult filmmaking. I mean, you cannot, like the whole child baby thing is so disgusting. And in the climate that we're in, to do that and to use Sydney Sweeney, of all people, who has had such controversy on her own, to come forth and claim, do these just crazy stunts that is making fun of OnlyFans creators. It's not celebrating them. It's saying like, oh, look at how weird and creepy they are. Look, you can just go on and do whatever you want and, you'll just make money right away, which is not the case because there are so many creators who are really working hard to build their brands every day.
It really is disgusting. Making any kind of age content, your only people who are going to be viewing in every single time you post is going to be pedophiles. This goes back to the whole idea that Sam Levinson, he didn't really care about the way he was representing the industry. All he wanted to do was make money off it because he knows, like, a lot of people don't know what it is. It's a fairly new thing. And the way he's presented it, it's obviously going to shape the opinions of the people who don't know what the industry are about. The platform is regulated, there are rules and restrictions, and this presented it as having no rules. Euphoria has always been a show which has just been surrounded by controversy, and seasons 1 and 2, when he was like sexualizing teenagers, he used the whole angle like he was trying to modernize it. And then when it came to doing SW, he just made it into a complete joke and a mockery. And when it comes to the controversy surrounding Sydney Sweeney and why Maitland doesn't want her to portray OF stars, I do understand. For those of you who don't know, Sydney Sweeney did an American Eagle campaign, and it received a lot of backlash for good reason.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has her genes.
So yeah, the whole advertisement was not good. So the play on words with genes, as in like denim, and then genes with genetics, did not go over well because it just came across as if she was promoting the Aryan race and white supremacy, which she didn't deny. When it comes to the mistake of this whole campaign, I blame the advertisement company, but I also blame Sydney Sweeney because when she's saying the lines,
Often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
how can you say that out loud and not hear the white supremacy inside those words? It just does not make sense. And when she was given the opportunity to apologize, she was given abundance of chances, by the way. She did not. Where in the interview, she said,
Ad spoke for itself.
You think the ad spoke for itself. Okay. And the criticism of the content, which was basically that maybe specifically in this political climate, like white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Like that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
which was just a terrible way to play it. And I feel like all these like dominoes of just Sydney Sweeney making like a really bad name for herself in a sense, with like her being a registered Republican, the American Eagles campaign, the lack of an apology, throwing the Blue Lives Matter party for like a 60th birthday where everything was like cowboy themed. All these things, and like the way she like appeals to the male gaze and just like sexualizes herself within the industry, which brings me to the conclusion that Sydney Sweeney is under the impression that all press is still good press. But then I feel like she should ask herself, does she want to be famous for amazing acting and like just a easy person to work with, or does she want to be the kind of person who's famous for basically being a Republican, getting praised by Trump, and all these things? When Sydney Sweeney was playing the character of Cassie and she saw just how far and bizarre the character was going to be with this season with the OF stuff, I feel she saw this as another opportunity to be the center of controversy and the center of like media feuds, basically just people coming after her but also discussing her. And it very much did work because everywhere you look on TikTok you see Sydney Sweeney. A lot of people have been saying that Sydney Sweeney found it so easy to play Cassie because she was really just playing herself. And I feel like it's very important to just point out the fact that every disgusting and depraved thing Cassie does this season, whether it's like impersonating a child or just everything in episode 5, which I don't think was necessary to the story once again, Sydney Sweeney is an actor and she's playing a character, and although it may seem similar to her, I feel most of the blame should be held at Sam Levinson because he's the one who wrote the character. According to Trisha Paytas, during the misogynistic podcast scene, Sydney Sweeney actually came up with a lot of her own lines and she was just going off the top of her head. And most of the things in the interview are very much leaning into all the things she's really already said in the media herself, made it very understandable that people found it hard to separate the two characters. Now, this is a video by Cassie herself, and it's kind of a mix of other things as well, but the way she talks about playing Cassie, I just think it's very important to watch and understand.
Cassie is very confident. She knows how to make money with her body. That's just what Cassie does. The inspiration honestly just comes from Cassie herself. She's quite a character. Cassie doesn't really have shame in it. She's having fun and she's getting to be wild, which that's just what she wants to do right now. I think that that's her version of an American dream.
Sid genuinely cracks me up. She has Cassie down to a science. It's a really fun character.
Huh?
Wedding day.
To call Cassie a fun character, I feel like it's just insane, considering we know everything that Cassie does, and most of it's not even for her. She's literally trying to make money to pay for the wedding, which was a little for her, but then later she's just doing it to pay off Nate's gambling debt. What part of that seems fun?
Fun character.
The thing that stood out to me most was the way that Cassie was talking about playing the character, and I feel like she doesn't understand Cassie at all because she's not doing it for herself. She's doing it for viewer validation. And I'm so sorry, when I listened to this, it sounded like she had played a character like Reese Witherspoon's when she played Elle Woods in Legally Blonde, like something so revolutionary and something so amazing and something so empowering to women. And when you think about Cassie's character, you do not think that, oh, she's empowering other women. And to say that Cassie's so confident this season when she's anything but, because we see her doing it in order to pay for flowers and stuff, and it's not giving her the confidence that she needs. Because like I said, there was no character development with her whole persona this season, and it's so sad because I know season 2 Cassie would have loved to have some like actual like confidence, like real confidence, which didn't need other people to validate her. I just feel like Sydney Sweeney's lost touch with who Cassie is, and she's just, like Sam Levinson, she's kind of done with the whole season. This whole season, the women are just used as tools for sexuality, and it's so clear, and it's just so upsetting where the show actually went. Because everyone we really like grew to love in season 1, like with Jules, she had the whole like finding her identity, and then in season 3 she has Ellis and she has no identity and she's just looking at his validation. Maddie, she bites off more than she can chew with like the whole online pimp thing and then getting involved with Alamo, and then by the end of it she's basically in debt to him, and it's just really not looking good. And my question is, if he had all these amazing actors, why could not one of them be in an empowering role? Why did they all have to go into like the self-sabotage and they all like get the consequences at the very end, and no one really has a happy ending? The saddest thing to me about Cassie's character this season is that I feel like the actor Sydney Sweeney, I mean, all the controversy was definitely justified because she did do some crazy things and she needed to apologize about it.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
But when she did Chrissy, I kind of thought like she was stepping outside of the role of being Cassie and she was going to do more empowering roles. And if you've seen Chrissy, she's not being sexualized in that movie. She's a female boxer. And although it didn't do very well in the box office, I still enjoyed the film. I mean, it wasn't my favorite, but I did enjoy it and I could see where it was going. And I kind of wanted her to do more roles like that and not just return to the role of Cassie, because now I feel like she's kind of stuck again. And overall, I feel like this whole show needs to be put to rest just because of all the controversy surrounding it outside of the storylines, like with the actors, with Cassie and Zendaya apparently feuding on set, with Zendaya apparently not wanting to take pictures with Sam Levinson, Labyrinth, who did not return this season. And we all know why, because of the post he made, and Sam Levinson just being a very difficult man to work with. And lots of rumors concerning that everyone's upset with everyone when we look at the group photos, that every single season they did a group photo and everyone be in it. And this season there were like 2 separate photos. And it's all these kind of like little like topics of like rumors and gossip that kind of just ruins the show. And I just feel like it's tainted and it needs to be put to rest. But I do think it's important to remember all the good things about the show, like Zendaya's acting, the amazing aesthetic from season 1, and the good cinematography and amazing lighting. The lighting was really cool this season because it really brought the whole Western thing to life. And what can I say? Like, I'm listing like little things, but these are the only things at the top of my head. And I feel like I'm in that episode of Friends at the very end when Joey's done like the mac and cheese episodes and they're trying to like fish for anything good about the show. And they go off lighting and set directions and stuff like that.
The lighting was okay.
Oh, no, you don't. You got lighting last time. Lighting is mine.
But to wrap it all up, I feel this season was just not worth it, and I really did not like it. And if I knew it was gonna like ruin all the characters like this and there'd be no character development, I wish he just ended it on season 2 and it could have been one of those shows like where everyone wished a season 3 came out but we're happy it didn't. I'm gonna call it there. Thank you so much for watching, and if you made it to the end, please do leave me a comment down below because this is my first video and I would love any feedback. Sam Smith.